Hi, good evening everyone. This is JOVE Aguas. I am recording this presentation here in Manila, and by the time you will be listening to this presentation, it's 6 o'clock p.m. in Romania, and it's 12 midnight here in the Philippines. But before I make my presentation, allow me first to greet the organizers of this conference, most especially His Grace, Archbishop of Tomis, Archbishop Todoshi, and to the faculty members and organizers of this conference coming from the University, Vidius University, most especially my good friend, Yuan Dura. Thank you for organizing this conference, and of course I want to greet the speakers, paper presenters, and the participants of this conference. So I was hoping that Manila or the Philippines is just beside Romania, but because of the distance, it's quite impossible for me to be there personally. And thanks to the benefit of the internet, of technology, I am able to make this recording and send this just in time for you to listen to this presentation. So I hope you will learn or gain something from this presentation. So to start, the title of my presentation is The Notions of Ultimate Reality and Ultimate End of Human Life, a comparison between monotheistic and non-monotheistic religions. So, introduction. Every religion and culture has its own understanding of reality and the divine, based on its own particular worldview. Such worldview and understanding becomes the basis of its religious and cultural beliefs. And later on, they are further interpreted and rationalized into doctrines and precepts. It is then the task of the thinkers of that particular religion or culture to elaborate or explain such understanding and beliefs, based either on reason or faith or authority or tradition. What comes out is a kind of rationalization in the form of a philosophy or a theology. Furthermore, such understanding or interpretation of reality in the divine, in its consequent philosophy or theology, projects the identity of that particular religion or culture, and somehow manifests how such religion or culture is different from others, particularly in the way it relates to God, the universe or nature, and to others. Now, one essential aspect of religion is that although people profess faith or belief in a divine or spiritual being or reality, they have different understanding and notions of this being or reality. Monotheistic religions claim they receive revelation from the divine being, but they have different interpretations of this revelation. The non-monotheistic religions claim either there are many different gods or different divine beings, or that the divine or the ultimate reality is not some kind of a supreme being, but a kind of a state of being. Hence, it's not surprising that we have different faiths, different religious beliefs and practices. Indeed, the differences and diversity are essential parts of human existence, and such diversity is rooted in the very nature of our human existence. We may have been endowed with human reason, but the use and application of this power of reason are very much diverse. Aside from this, we also have our own unique and diverse experiences, and therefore we view reality, whether the physical or the divine or spiritual, differently. Hence, while we have the general capacity to understand such divine or spiritual reality, we have different understanding and interpretations of this reality or being. Now, in this paper, I will focus on two basic or essential notions in both types of religions, monotheistic and non-monotheistic, namely, the ultimate reality and the ultimate end of human life. The first one touches on the fundamental metaphysics of the monotheistic and non-monotheistic religions, and the second on the basic soteriology of monotheism and non-monotheism. By monotheism, I am generally referring to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And by non-monotheism, I am generally referring to Hinduism and Buddhism. Now, the ultimate reality. At the core of the doctrines of major religions is a belief about a transcendent or ultimate reality, that underlies the natural and physical world. Philosophy of religion has reflected and examined how different religions understand and interpret this transcendent and ultimate reality. Their diverse interpretations of this reality have been the basis of their diverse religious beliefs and practices. The non-monotheistic and the monotheistic religions have their respective or distinct views about this reality. In the monotheistic religions, particularly Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the ultimate reality is conceived as a personal, supreme, and perfect being, a God. God is not only personal, He is the creator of all, and He sustains the existence of every creature. He is perfect in every respect, and He commands obedience from His creatures. Many other properties are attributed to God, including omniscience, omnipotence, and immutability. And in non-monotheistic religions, particularly Buddhism, as well as Taoism, and the Advaita Vedanta school of Hinduism, the ultimate reality is understood as a state of being, not a personal being. It's not a personal creator or a God, and cannot be described by a set of attributes, like perfection or omniscience or omnipotence, because that being or that reality is undifferentiated absolute reality. Taoism would generally refer to this as the Tao. Hinduism refers to it as Brahman, and Buddhism would call it Sunyata or Nirvana. Ultimate reality, which is not a being, but rather the basis for all being, is beyond all human categories and understanding. Hindus refer to being, consciousness, and bliss as attributes which at least point toward the experience of infinite spirit. The notion of ultimate reality is clearly expounded in the most common form of Hinduism, and that is Advaita Vedanta. According to the school of Hinduism, ultimate reality, that is all reality, is Brahman. And Brahman is the only reality. According to Shankara, the key figure of Advaita Vedanta, only the Brahman is real, and Brahman is devoid of all distinctions. The Brahman has no attributes, and all apparent distinctive characteristics within Brahman and between Brahman and the world are ultimately illusory. According to Advaita Vedanta, all distinctions among all things and between oneself, which is the Atman, and Brahman are nothing but illusion. Now, in Buddhism, particularly in the Madhyamika school, or the school of the middle way, the early school of Mahayana Buddhism, which was developed by Nagarjuna, the ultimate reality is neither an absolute nor a personal God, like that of the theist. The ultimate reality is sunyata, which means emptiness or the void. Emptiness or nothingness and ultimate reality may seem to be contradictory notions. But according to the Buddhist metaphysics, there is no thing which has independent existence. Nothing has inherent existence. Everything has dependent existence. So the fundamental reality is emptiness. There is neither Atman nor Brahman. There is no self, but Anatman, or no self. All things, the world, the mountains, trees, the animals, people, they are just results of events or processes which are dependent on other events or processes. So, even though things appear to be stable, there is nothing or any substance that underlies these realities. Nagarjuna says that whatever arises dependently is explained as empty. Therefore, dependent attribution is the middle way. However, since there is nothing whatsoever that is not dependently existent, therefore, there is nothing whatsoever that is not empty. Now, all things exist only in relation to other things. So all things originate out of a self-sustaining causal nexus in which each link arises from another. This is the Buddhist doctrine of interdependent origination. According to this doctrine, everything is dependent on and connected to other things. Nothing in the nexus is independent. everything arises from something else. While the non-monotheistic religions either maintain that ultimate reality is the undifferentiated, impersonal attribute, or deny the existence of a substantial divine being, the monotheistic religions of the Abrahamic tradition, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, believe in a God who is personal, who is perfect being, who created the world, and has certain divine attributes or properties which set him apart from all other beings which he himself created. According to the monotheistic religions, God has divine attributes or qualities. Some of them are necessity, omnipotence, omniscience, eternity, and immutability. Necessity is the property of existing necessarily. God is conceived as a necessarily existent being. This means that the existence of that divine being does not depend on anything else or to anyone. It is self-existent. And that necessary being, who is a God, is contrasted with a contingent being, which may or may not exist. And if it exists, then it depends on something else to exist. Omnipotence is the property of a being perfect in power. God is omnipotent, which means that he is all-powerful. And such omnipotence is affirmed by the different scriptures of these three monotheistic religions. In the Old Testament, it is written, and I quote, "Ah, the Lord, behold, thou hast made heavens and the earth by thy great power and by thine outstretched arms. Nothing is too difficult for thee." In the New Testament, it is also written, and I quote, "For nothing will be impossible with God." In the Quran, it is said, "Say, O God, Master of the kingdom, thou givest the kingdom to whom thou wilt, and seizest the kingdom from whom thou wilt. Thou exaltest whom thou wilt, and thou basest whom thou wilt. In thy hand is the good. Thou art powerful over everything." So, since God is omnipotent, as expressed in these scriptures, then he can do anything whatsoever. God can create a world. He can answer prayers. God can do miracles and so forth. But what does it mean doing anything? Can he create square circles? Obviously he can. Theologians and philosophers qualify this attribute. It means that God can do anything that is logically impossible, or that God possesses every power which is logically possible to possess. Omniscience is the property of being perfect in knowledge. God is omniscient. He knows everything. And but what does it mean to know everything? More common view is that it is to know all things that are proper objects of knowledge. And since only true propositions are proper objects of knowledge, then only true propositions can be known. Hence God knows all true propositions. Now, for my conclusion. The interpretation of reality in the divine is always arbitrary on the part of the interpreter, or in this case, of the believer, based mainly on his experiences. It can be personal, social, cultural, religious, political, and even economic. And this is where we see diverse interpretations that most often are opposite, and some are even adversarial. And there is one aspect, and there is no aspect of human life that is more sensitive and complex than religion. Hence, it's not surprising to see diverse religious beliefs and the consequent doctrines and practices. Unfortunately, however, because of the sensitivity and complexity of religious beliefs and the diversity sometimes leads to conflict and tension between or among religions. This is not to say that religion is the cause of human conflict or tension. It's just that religion touches on something that reaches the very core of our humanity, of our existence, in the goal or the purpose or end of our human existence. Hence, it can be said that one aspect of our existence that has a double effect would be religion. Because religion can have a positive and good effect. At the same time, it could also have a negative and bad effect. And religion, if you're going to look at it, is so perplexing. It could be satisfying on one hand and could be terrifying on the other hand. It is religion that makes people good and holy. It is religion that in religion we are taught to love our fellow men, to respect nature, obey the commands of a higher being or God or Yahweh or Allah, or just live your life according to the absolute. And because of our religious beliefs and faith, we aspire for something higher, a higher level of human existence, or a place of happiness. We call it heaven or nirvana or Eden or paradise. Religion teaches us all the good values and virtues: love, respect, hope, honesty, etc. It is religion that promotes unity and harmony among its believers. Indeed, religion offers us or promises us a very noble and wonderful human existence, either here or hereafter. However, if we look at the horrible events in history, many of these terrible events, not all, but many of them, wars, conquests, inquisitions, crusades, terrorist attacks, and many other forms of violence and wickedness, they were all done in the name of religion. So while we say that religion promotes harmony and peace, it could also be the cause of persecution and domination of one group over another group. Many religious beliefs and practices have been the cause of conflict and misunderstanding. We would think that religious leaders, because they are in a higher position to understand, will be more open to interaction and dialogue. But sometimes, they are the ones who dismiss such form of human relationship because they are afraid to compromise their faith. So instead of harmony among religions, the result sometimes is mistrust, suspicion, and misunderstanding. And I'm just very happy that we have this, this interreligious dialogue that would promote, break the distrust, break the suspicion, break the misunderstanding, but promote harmony and understanding among religions. Still, this diversity of religious faith or religions poses a challenge to humanity, especially in our world today. Religious diversity is as much a part of our human condition. We cannot ignore this diversity, much less ignore the existence of other religions. Our respective religion or our respective faith is not the only religion, nor the one and only true faith. There are many other faiths and religions, and no religion can claim exclusive, absolute right to religious truth. And no one can suppress the right of every human individual to pursue and express his religious beliefs. So, the challenge is how to understand not only our religion, or one religion, but also to understand this diversity of religious beliefs. It is also as much a challenge for the contemporary believers how to harmonize these diverse expressions of faith so that religious diversity does not become a source of conflict and violence, but a source of peace and harmony among men of diverse faith. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope I have expressed some good insights to contribute to the ongoing discussions or dialogue among the participants of this conference. So once again, thank you for your kind attention. Mabuhay from the Philippines. JOVE AGUAS.